Hello. Hi,
Hi,
Macy.
how are you?
Good. How's it going?
It's good. It's good. It was a little bit warmer here today, so I was actually able to go for a slightly extended walk, so that
Oh,
was nice.
that's fast. And you've got a nice view in the background, I see.
Oh, yes, thank you. Yeah, we're on a busy street, so I might mute as we're going along if like a siren goes by or something, but yeah,
No,
it's a very nice view.
cool. Yeah, and just making sure my audio, it should be good, but I should have smooth enough connection.
Yep.
But same, if anything cuts out, we'll hop back in as soon as we can.
Okay. That's good.
Cool. Well, welcome to the rest of you who are just joining in. Um, the two of us will introduce ourselves in just a moment, but in case any of you are wondering if you're in the right place, we're here with Leave No Trace and Coleman today, talking about just providing some good camping tips as we head into the new year. And, that's probably going to provide a lot of opportunities for different trips and in different destinations. So we wanted to start off the new year right and share some information and resources with all of you online.
Mhm.
Yeah, Macy, if you want to add anything. If not, we can go ahead and introduce ourselves.
No,
You
I
can
think
start.
you covered it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, yeah, I'll quickly introduce myself. My name is Haley. I am here representing Leave No Trace. I'm actually one of the Subaru Leave No Trace traveling team members. So what that means is a few of us travel around the country full time via our Subarus, and we offer all different kinds of education around Leave No Trace. We work with land managers, public, public visitors to these places, communities, all sorts of things, universities, organizations, partners. We really just want to equip as many people as we can with this minimal impact practices when it comes to outdoor recreation. Yeah.
Yep, and I'll introduce myself. So I am Macy, and I am on the Coleman team. I work on our brand marketing team. So we do kind of anything that you guys would see that has a Coleman logo on it, our team works on, including our partnerships like Leave No Trace. So I'm super excited to be here with Haley and kind of get the year started off right as we go into planning.
Yay. Awesome. Well, thank you for being here, Macy, and to all of you who are joining. We will make this live available to even more folks after it's recorded. So hopefully this reaches you one way or the other. But thank you for tuning in if you're here live with us. And so basically, to start out, we just wanted to talk a little bit about why we're here doing this right now, why Leave No Trace is doing this with Coleman. And we have a really great partnership going on between our entities. And I think especially for this year, I mean, in the years that I've been with Leave No Trace too, Coleman has just really been a great, partner in providing, in equipping people and making sure that they have the proper gear and equipment to, so that when they go outside, they're not running into situations where they're going to be less prepared and maybe be put into situations where they're going to have to cause a heavier impact. So with Coleman's help, we really have been able to reach a lot more people. And so we're super excited to continue that partnership this year. That being said, for all of you who are on our live today, you are going to get access to an exclusive discount code on Coleman's website. So one of us, I believe, will type it in the chat too, just to make sure you all have it. But that code is LNT, so as in Leave No Trace, 25. So LNT25. And that code will get you 25% off your total purchase of $100 or more on Coleman.com. And that, I believe, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but that's it's open-ended, whatever kind of equipment or anything that's available on the website to purchase.
Yep, correct. Yep. If you go to Coleman.com, anything on there would be applicable to the promo code.
Perfect. Yes, so we'll remind you of that after we talk a little bit more, but that's for all of you to use. Hopefully you can buy yourself a post-holiday New Year setup. I know it's always, I personally love getting new gear, especially Coleman, so hopefully that can help some of you out. So we'll just go ahead and jump right in. We definitely, I know we don't have too much time today, but we wanted to provide you, like we said, for those of you who may have some trips planned this year, maybe planning on camping first time in a while or in a place that you've never been before. We definitely want to give you some tips and make sure that you are equipped. So just to start out, I guess I can talk a little bit about what Leave No Trace is in general. I know a lot of you who are tuning in maybe familiar with the idea of Leave No Trace. Some of you might not, and that's totally fine. Basically, at Leave No Trace as an organization, we are just working really hard to provide minimal impact practices to people that are spending time outside, whatever that looks like. And these days, people are finding amazing creative ways to spend time outside. It's really fun to hear. Feel free, and if you're joining in, feel free to type in the chat what you love doing outside. I know we love hearing what everyone loves to do and just the ways that people are able to connect with nature. But in doing that, as more people are going outside, that's inevitably going to create a heavier impact, right, on the environment. And we just want to do everything that we can to make sure that we are leaving as little impact as possible when we're going outside. So that, a big part of that is making sure that we are preserving nature in the best that we can so that we can continue enjoying it. More people can continue finding new ways to enjoy it. So that's really, what we're about at Leave No Trace. And, some of you might be wondering, like, why is Leave No Trace important? We get the idea, we get, pack it in, pack it out, be prepared, things like that. But why is it important? And we've really, at Leave No Trace especially, we've spent a lot of time doing research and conducting studies and trying to figure out what the best practices are. And a lot of that has looked at, understanding what's motivating people when they go outside. What are they trying to get out of their experience? What is going to impact their experience negatively? How can we prevent that? And so, Macy, I'd love to hear kind of if you have any experiences in nature or in the outdoors that have really stuck with you or inspired you.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, growing up, my family is from Western New York, and we had a piece of land that we would all go, and me and all my cousins would go, and we would go camping with my grandparents for a week. So that was kind of what I did every summer, like the first week out of school, to kind of kick off my summer every year growing up. And it was always such a special memory to me, and it kind of let me, as I went into adulthood, to be an avid camper and continue that going forward. And now, I bring my friends camping, and I kind of explore, the spaces around me in the Midwest now that I live here. So it's always been, kind of something that has, been ingrained in me from a young age. And especially during COVID, it was kind of my way to escape, living in a small apartment and get out of, the space that I was in. And when I was quarantining and things like that, and kind of just expand my, space and get a new fresh perspective and get away from my screens for a little bit, since that was kind of the only way I was interacting with people for a while. So it's something that I've always really enjoyed, and I'm super excited. I was just thinking about, because it's cold here, that I need to plan my upcoming trips for this year to kind of give me something to look forward to. So this will be definitely super helpful as I go into planning for this upcoming year.
Totally. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome that you have been able to have those experiences with your family growing up. And I love that you're able to share that with people that have come into your life since then. And I'm actually curious, if you don't mind, is there something maybe that you wish that now that you've had a significant amount of experience in the outdoors, obviously being with Coleman, you're surrounded by the outdoor industry and things like that, but is there anything that you wish you knew when you were just getting started that maybe now that would be helpful for folks to know?
Yeah, I think one thing that I kind of learned going forward is, especially when I'm hiking, like I go camping and then we go to like local state parks and go hiking and things like that, is especially sticking to like the trails that are predetermined in, the state park or wherever you're at, and kind of sticking to the footpaths that have already been developed, instead of maybe you see something over there and it looks really nice and you want to go look at it, but if there's not a trail, it might be better to just view it from a distance. So that's something that I learned actually from taking, like when I first started at Coleman, a Leave No Trace course, and I thought that that was really interesting, and it wasn't something that I knew beforehand. And it's something that, as I've brought people with me and they're like, oh, well, I'm just going to go look at this over here, I'm like, actually, maybe we should just like look at it from a distance and keep on the trail. So it's something that I was able to kind of teach others and take with me and kind of apply to my recreational activities.
I love that. I love, I mean, I wasn't there, but it sounds like you carried yourself very well in those situations and really, took those opportunities, not be condescending to other people, but really just provide some education. So that's really great. great to hear that you are able to share that with so many different people. Yeah, I guess a few more tips that I can share in terms of, if again, like if you're gearing up for a trip, an upcoming trip, and you're starting to think about that process, as you were saying, Macy, like trying to think of where you're going to go next and what it's going to look like. That's really an important piece of it, right? A lot of how we can minimize our impact once we get outside is actually taking that time before we get there, to plan ahead and prepare, which for those of you familiar with Leave No Trace, that's principle number one, is plan ahead and prepare. And so much of that is, I really see it as like it's doing a little bit of work before you get there to save a lot of trouble once you get out there. So it's really, taking a little bit of time to do some research on the internet. All this information is pretty easily accessible these days in terms of if there's any temporary closures, if you're going to have to take a detour versus the route you would normally take, if there's inclement weather. I know, we live out of our cars pretty much year round, and so that's always something we have to be considering. Is there a big event happening in that area that you need to plan ahead and prepare for? Maybe try to visit, like if it's a national park or something, try to figure out what time of day would be less crowded. All these things can really, the more prepared you are, the more you are going to have a positive experience once you get out there, whether it's, out backpacking, out in the mountains, or you're just hanging out down by the lake for a weekend camping or anything like that. We really having a good time in the outdoors, and so the best way to do that is just to be prepared. Macy, I don't know if you have anything to add or any other questions that you wanted to ask about that.
Yeah, actually, that's a great point. Actually, a couple of years ago, my partner and I went out to Yellowstone for like a long extended camping trip. We did like a week-long trip, and I don't know if it was just naivety or we just didn't prepare, like you said, ahead of time, but we didn't realize that the Yellowstone National Park campgrounds are actually like first come, first serve, and you can't book them ahead. So we showed up and, we tried to scramble, and we just didn't realize like the process for it. So it was something that, we kind of learned as we went and we were able to adapt to, but it would have been a lot more helpful if we had known in advance and were able to kind of plan our trip accordingly.
Yeah. Yes, totally. Yeah, that's a great example. And I totally know what you mean, especially a park like Yellowstone. I know, yeah, from experience, it is crazy to try and book a campsite ahead of time, especially now after COVID. So I guess, yeah, this is a reminder to you all, with the start of the new year. I know I can't speak for every place is a little bit different, but a lot of times these days you can go online and find information like if there's a permitting system or a lottery system that you need to apply for ahead of time. I would say from my experience, like those things usually start happening if you're planning for a summer trip. It usually starts happening in the later winter, like February, March, April-ish. So keep in mind, if you know ahead of time this summer you're going somewhere, yes, definitely make sure you figure out where you're going to be camping. And even if you're planning on doing a bigger hike too, I know my partner and I just hiked Half Dome last summer, and that was a whole process to get those permits too. And we did Whitney the year before, which was an even bigger process. So planning ahead for sure. Now is the time to do it. And it's totally possible too, right? If you're willing to take the steps, and if we can if Leave No Trace or Coleman too can be of resource to helping you all get that information, we're happy to do that as well. So I guess, Macy, for you, like when in your camping experience, what has it been like for you, once you get to camp? Are there certain things that you have found extra helpful to do to make your experience better?
Yeah, definitely. I think, packing and making sure that you are, know how to set up your gear and that you feel comfortable with it and are giving yourself enough time when you get there to do that is extremely important. You want to make sure that you can find like a good, durable surface or good space to camp, especially if you're setting up a tent and you're tent camping and things like that. So making sure that you leave yourself enough time and you're not like rushing to your next activity, or you want to go do a hike before sunset or something like that. And you're really planning ahead so that you can get there and get set up and then enjoy your activities. is super important as well. And then also just understanding how to pack it down. There's nothing worse than, you know, going and having the best week and then like trying to pack it all down and you don't know how the best way to pack it, or things like that as well. It can be stressful and it can kind of like put a low point on the end of your trip. So those are definitely two things that I've learned as I go into like my trips now, making sure that I'm comfortable with ahead of time.
Yeah, totally. I love that. Yeah, it's great that you shared. You know, a lot of people put a lot of time and thought into just getting there. But you're totally right. You want the entirety of your experience to go well, and there's nothing worse than, you know, on the last day. I know we've all been there when you're tired, you're hungry, you maybe haven't showered in a few days, and you wanna get out of there. You're ready to go home, but we want to make sure we are setting ourselves up for success. We're getting out there, but also setting whoever's going to be spending time there next up for success. And that includes things like, I know this is a big one, but just doing like a quick check after. The big things are easy, right? Packing up your tent, your sleeping bags, your chairs. That stuff is easy to throw in the car, but it's the little things. Like we have, you know, I've gone to a lot of different campsites, walked up, and it's the small micro trash and the tent stakes that you can always find. And so it always helps, especially if there's a group of people. Everyone can kind of look for a specific thing, and you know, you may find some things that you were missing from the beginning of the trip that you would have forgotten otherwise. Yeah, and then I guess just to add to that, upon arrival too, you know, I hear you too about like, you know, getting there. I mean, just from sharing from experience, we've all had the moment where we have a full day, you get to the campsite, it's late, it's dark, you're hungry and tired again. And what are you going to do? What are things to look for once you get to the campsite? And I would say the first thing is to just look for something that we call a durable surface. And so that's in terms of if you're tent camping, where you would set up your tent, and then if you're car camping or anything like that, just making sure that there isn't any sensitive vegetation around. You know, there's not any, obviously, like no wildlife living or in that area. Any area that can withstand a heavy impact. So rock, dirt, gravel, those are great examples of durable surfaces. A lot of times, if it's a designated campsite too, we've seen a lot of tent pads, like it's just this built-in kind of square. It's blocked off and it's perfect for your tent. So that's the way to go for sure if that's available. But if not, it's always good to do a little walk around once you get to the campsite. I think get a lay of the land. Try to envision, you know, where you're going to be camping or sleeping, and then maybe a little bit of ways you want to then set up where you're going to be cooking. I think that's another big thing too, right? Is especially in a place like Yellowstone, checking local regulations and making sure, because everywhere is different when it comes to how land managers want you to store your food at night. You know, especially in bear country. I know we don't have to worry about that so much in the winter, but a lot of the summer camping, sometimes it's okay to store it in vehicles. Sometimes it's absolutely not. You want to store it in the bear locker or a bear safe canister, things like that. Yes, bear spray. I saw the comment there. But yeah, just making sure that you read up on those local regulations. I guess that's a part of the plan ahead and preparing. And sometimes there's rangers there who can share that information with you on site. Yeah, I don't know. Do you have anything to add or anything that you feel like we missed, Macy?
No, I think that's great. I think another thing that I've always, like when I'm looking in local regulations, is also like fire bans potentially, especially in dry climates in the West. Just making sure before you go, like everyone loves a campfire, but making sure you're checking the local regulations and following them, especially in the summertime, because we want to make sure that we're, you know, preserving all of this, you know, these great recreational activities and areas for other people to enjoy as well, and we're not causing any damage that is long term. So that's just one thing that I know, especially when we go and do like a photo shoot or something, that we always keep in mind when we're planning these trips. So something that's good to look into in advance as well.
Yes, that's a great point. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, fire safety is definitely a whole other very important topic, especially, you know, as you mentioned, if you're camping on the West, which, you know, there's a lot of people that want to come out. We have a lot of space out here, and just making sure that we're treating it respectfully. Yeah, cool. Well, I don't know if anyone else has any additional comments. I know we're running down. I know it's a short amount of time that we have together today, but if anyone that is watching has any additional questions or comments they'd like to ask either one of us, we'd love to open it up to you. If not, meanwhile, while you're thinking about it, I'll just share the code one more time that you all get by watching this live. This is for Coleman.com. So this is for a Coleman purchase. I will say their stoves. Your stoves are wonderful. We live and die by our Coleman stove. Chairs are super comfortable. You can get some great kitchenware. We love it's very sturdy stuff. It'll last you a long, long time. And it looks great out there too. So make your Coleman purchase. You can use the code LNT25, and that's 25% off of your purchase of $100 or more. And that is on Coleman.com. Cool. Well, if no one else has any questions, we can go ahead and wrap it up. I'll just share a few quick resources in case you're intrigued by the things that we're talking about today. Feel free to check out Leave No Trace's website, lnt.org, if you haven't already. We have a whole plethora, a library of resources, a lot specifically on camping. I know we've been talking mostly about camping today, but we also have a lot of Leave No Trace specific resources for specific activities. So I know even like winter sports, I know that's a big thing right now, skiing, snowboarding, snowmobiling, all these things. We'd love to provide resources for you. And so check out our website, sign up for our newsletter. Macy, I don't know if you want to share any additional notes.
Yeah, definitely. If I know Haley shared the code, but hop on over to Coleman.com. Check out, we have a lot of new gear that's releasing in the spring around February and March if you're looking for something new to kind of refresh your camp setup. And yeah, if you give us a follow both at Leave No Trace and Coleman on Instagram, and hopefully we'll do some more of these in the future.
Yeah, that sounds great. Thank you so much, Macy. And for all of you for joining us, thank you, Coleman, for this amazing partnership that we're going to bring into the new year. And happy new year to all of you, and happy travels, happy camping, stay safe and warm, and we will see you all out there.
Yep. Happy New Year.
Bye.